In the darkest blackness of human carnage and suffering, police, fire, and EMS intercede on behalf of mankind. God himself reaches out to those who suffer through their hands. Their service is a clear and unmistakable demonstration that God does not abandon people in the storms of life.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Ogle County Peer Support Network, and welcome to our very special guests, Randy and Julie. And Randy, you are a retired battalion chief with the Aurora Fire Department, and Julie is a current chief of the household. Yes, amen. I've had the privilege of serving as your pastor and the benefit of your friendship, and also I've been able to watch you both grow in your love and faith, which has been very exciting. It's always good to see people grow and develop. It's always nice to see, there's couples that you just know, oh my gosh, they're going to be nothing but a problem. And then there are those who just keep going higher and higher and better and better. And even if you don't feel that way, you make it look that way. It's like you guys just improve and get better each. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you for, thank you.
Thank you.
Randy, you've been a firefighter since before you were born.
Almost.
Pretty much. Yep. And I know you had a sister who served as a patrol deputy for Winnebago County as well.
Yes.
So being first responders, you understand first responders. And really, I mean, here at this table, we have you, a retired battalion chief, Chief Lewis, a retired fire chief, and there are just some things that other people aren't going to get about your life and what you go through. So this is very unique and very helpful. And I know you both have a heart for helping people with deep emotional wounds. That seems to be an area that you have pursued some education. And is it certification that you had received for helping people, or?
Not really a certification,
Okay.
just a three-part
Yeah. We went to Florida.
healing
and-
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I know that I would not hesitate to refer couples to you if they were looking for another couple to sit down with. I would point them in your direction, and I'd love to do that. And so at the conclusion of this episode, either people are going to stay away from us or they're going to gravitate toward us, and I'm hoping that some people could be helped that are needing some help. So without me saying much more, just if you guys would, just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Absolutely. I was going to defer to my wife and ladies first, but
No.
she said absolutely not, that I had to go first, so I guess I better listen.
First principle.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You learn that very quickly. It took
Yep.
me a while to learn it, but I learned after the fact. So anyway, I had a grandfather and my dad was a volunteer. They were both volunteers. My grandfather, a charter member of the Lynn Scott Rock Fire Protection District just east of here. And so he was one of the beginners of that when they put that together, and my dad followed in his footsteps as volunteers. And I did it for many years as a volunteer in some of the local agencies. And in 1998, I was fortunate enough to do it full-time. And at a spry young age of 37 years old, I started my probationary period and school in Aurora, Illinois. So, yeah, and ended up, before I retired, I was kind of trying to manage, I was the manager, the shift commander and battalion chief for our first shift, and for about 55 members. So sometimes the days were like herding cats, but some days throughout all of it, there was a whole lot of satisfaction that came from it. So yeah, there's days that I miss it and days that I look back and think, you know what, it's not, as we both have said, or all have said, it's not retirement, it's refirement. You move on to different seasons. So yeah, and excited about this season. So.
Yeah, that's a key point too, refirement, because like if you have nothing else to do except twiddle your thumbs, that might work for some people, but I know you're not a thumb twiddler. You got to be doing something. And so that's good that you have this season of retirement. But how long you been married to your bride?
We're going on 18 years, and it's gone by
Quickly.
just like that.
Yeah.
We're
It has.
still feel like we're in the newlywed stage, and she keeps me laughing, and
And you do also.
Yeah.
So.
Second principle.
stay laughing.
Somebody should
The
take
best
notes
medicine.
here. Stay
Absolutely.
laughing.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been 18 years.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking about your wedding day and perform, being a part of that ceremony. It's like, how did 18 years just go by?
And it's funny because when we, look back and we think of everything that has happened, gone on from, no grandkids to grandkids, and, you had a son who passed away in the first year we were married, and, parents, and lots of different things.
Lots of
with
tests
that.
for the testimony, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as you said, you don't get a testimony without the test.
No,
Well, that's it. You look at it and you say, well, you either go one way and you learn from it, or go the other way and let it school you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but no, I had 3 children, as Julie said, just to kind of follow up on the introduction. My firstborn son, he was multiply handicapped, and he went to be with Jesus at 23 years old. My 2 daughters, Amber, I have 2 grandchildren by her and her husband. And then my daughter, Sierra, who is a school teacher up in the Madison, Wisconsin area. So, yes, she's not married yet, but, that day will come. And there'll be grandchildren there, too, I'm sure. But, it's been good. We probably teach each other something every day, and
Third principle.
third principle.
Wow.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I could go on, but I'd like to introduce my wife and have her introduce herself.
Well, hi, Mrs. Leek.
Well, hello there. How are you, Pastor?
Very well, thank
you. Chief. Okay, let's see. I grew up in Rockford, Illinois, and got married when I was 21 years old, and had 2 children. I still have 2 children, and they're wonderful. And we were married 10 years or so. And let's see. Does it matter to you how much I share with?
You can share as much as you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, you were just a baby at 21, so there's so much forgiveness and grace. Say whatever you need to.
I wouldn't say anything that my kids don't already know. So.
Okay.
That sounds safe.
Yes. No, I was married to a great man. He was a good father. He was a very good dad and husband. And I was raised in a Christian home and knew what was right, knew Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and I started to go off in my own way, little by little. And it all started up here in my eyes and my thoughts, never thinking anything of it. And as time went on, I ended up going back to work. Not that going to work when you're married and have 2 small children is wrong, because it's not. But I ended up using that to stray away from my family and what I knew was right. And my husband then and we ended up getting divorced. And I was single for, I think, 10 years or so. All of it just kind of all mushes together, but I want to say I was single for 10 years, and God so graciously never gave up on me and opened my eyes, and He totally restored me to where I needed to be and who I needed to be. And whenever I doubt God's love, or, Lord, are you really there? Do you really care? All I have to do is go back and think about what He did in the midst of what I did that really was so unforgivable in the natural realm. But to Him, it wasn't and never is. And so, I turned my life around, got back walking with the Lord, and I was going to a church, and I, met Randy there, kind of, not really. But there was somebody that knew him, that had been talking to him at the fire station for, 3-6 months, and said, Randy, you need to meet this friend of mine. And she says, I really think that you would really get along. And he, of course, wanted nothing to do with it, because he says, I've never been on a blind date, and I'm never going to go on one. And she said, okay.
Never
yeah.
long time.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that never again.
Yes. And of course, I had absolutely no idea that she had been talking to him. But when I ended up, there's so many little pockets here of how it all, I don't know how much you really want me to, say or share, but I had always worked in the medical field. So love the medical field. That's just where my mind goes, but I decided to get out of it, and I always loved skin, so I became an esthetician. And so I only got into it to go medical. And a month before I graduated, I decided, there was an ex-nurse that had come to our aesthetic school, and she had opened up her own salon and just had mentioned how tired she was of, working in the hospitals. And I thought, yeah, I'm a little tired of that too. So I decided to go work at a salon. And I knew a girl we went to the same church, and she owned a salon, and I asked her if she needed an esthetician, and she did. So in the meantime, I knew who Randy was, only because my daughter had, pointed him out to me and said, well, Mom, you could date that Randy guy. And I said, no, I'm not dating anybody. I'm done. I told the Lord that I am done dating. I made many bad choices, and I'm done. And He's going to have to do it if He wants me to, meet somebody. So anyway, I take this job, and the first girl that I meet there at the salon, her husband was a fireman in Byron. And of course, that was the one thing I knew about Randy, is that he was a firefighter. Otherwise, I wanted to know nothing about him, because to me that was, well, I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to meet somebody. And it was like, nope, not going there. So... But when my friend Glow had said that, the first thing that came out of my mouth is, well, there's a man that goes to my church, and he's a firefighter, I think, in Byron, and I knew his name. And she goes, oh yeah, she says, my husband is really good friends with him. We know him really well. And in my head, I'm going, interesting, because after I started seeing him, and again, there's a lot more to the story, but
that'll be for the book.
But that will be for the book. But because I had such poor choices in my past life, every time I looked at Randy, all I could think was, Lord, why do I have this feeling that if you ever gave us a choice to meet, that it just would be so good. I said, every time I look at him, he feels like home. And I could still cry when I think of it. But I just thought I was, screwy. So I said, Lord, you know what? You're going to have to do it. And I had 3 prayer requests. And I said, Lord, if you ever want me to marry again, I said, I don't want to meet him in church because I just didn't have a lot of good experience. And that's, again, it's just, I think a lot of it was me. And so anyway, I said, he has to be a believer for sure, absolutely. But I didn't really want to meet him in church. And my kids have to like him immediately. And then the third one was, I need lots of confirmation that he is really a good guy. Well, first of all, the Lord, he gave me the answer to all of those. And because even though I saw Randy every Sunday night in church, I never met him there. In fact, the night he called, it was Sunday night, he called me Monday night. Sunday night, he was sitting across the aisle from me. We walked right by each other. He knew who I was. He already knew he was going to call me. He could have said, "Hi, Julie, I'm Randy." But he didn't. And to me, I can just see the Lord laughing, going, you asked me that you didn't want to meet somebody in church, so I'm going to honor that. And that just, I can just see God laughing. So anyway, he ends up calling the next night, and which of course I had no clue of. Glo, who had set this whole thing up, she had asked me one day at work. She said, "So Julie," she says, "would it be okay if I gave Randy your phone number?" And I looked at her and I went, Glo, I don't think so, because I told the Lord that I wasn't going to do anything to help get a date, meet somebody. And she looked at me with this look of like, you idiot. How do you even know he's even going to call you? And I just went, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. So anyway, that was probably 2 weeks before, he actually called. Well, God had told me to move into my parents' house, so I had lived there with them for a little over 5 years. And I was sitting in the other room on the computer. My phone was in my bedroom. I heard it ringing. It was about 8:30 at night. I'm like, let it ring. And no lie, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, it was so loud, maybe it's Randy. Out of the blue, had no idea. I ran so fast into my room to pick up my phone, and it was you. So anyway, he asked me out, we went out, and the next morning, I got up and I told my parents, I'm gonna marry him. I knew immediately, which when people would say that to me, before, when I would look at them like, no, you can't know that. But yeah, I can. So
I wouldn't advise that as a premarital plan. But,
no. But my kids liked him immediately. My daughter already knew of him. And up until a week before we got married, I had lots of confirmation from people that I knew that knew him that would call me and say, I heard you're getting married. Man, he's a great guy. I'm like, wow, okay. Which I could tell. I knew. I mean, I
know you didn't ask me, but I would have told you the same thing.
No, because I didn't know you then.
There might be a whole lot of people that say just the opposite out there, though.
Well, it's always neat and fascinating to hear people's stories, which sometimes I think we just need to take the time and say, "Hey, tell me your story. How did you guys meet?"
Yeah.
You know, and obviously both of you had previous relationships, and you know so our topic is tips, or you know, how to have healthy or happy and healthy relationships. And there was a few things that you had mentioned I thought we would circle back on and talk about, but I want to just maybe say by way of a disclaimer that, you know, this is going to be our opinion. This is going to be our thoughts, if you will, our perspective, which may not always be right for everybody, because my definition of a happy, healthy relationship is not someone else's. And sitting at this table, when I think about the experience, now, even though you have 18 years of marriage between you two, you've had previous relationships and a whole world of experience that you learned from. Thank God you did. Chief has over 50 years of marriage. Val and I have 35 years of marriage, but we met 40 years ago. So we've been together as a couple for 40 years. And there are lessons that we've all learned and things that I think our listeners will benefit from. And we've been asked on several occasions to talk about relationships, marriages, families. And so this is our big moment. And what I thought we would do is we've got some, you know, tips or pointers, and really, Randy, I like, they're called points of reference, which is, I didn't come up with that, you did. It's like, yeah, points of reference points, building relationships that will last and go the distance, because I married my wife to have her and to be my wife forever. Like, I don't want to do this again, which means that, and coming back to something that you said, Julie, is two things that stood out. Number one, it seems like your personal faith plays a key role.
Oh, absolutely.
And number two, your thought life played a key role in a departure from. So, having said that, I mean, it goes without, I mean, this is no secret here that, you know, I'm a department chaplain and a man of faith. And my faith is the Christian faith. You know, I coordinate resources for people of faith, people of no faith. However, I do feel very strongly about relationships, that when we make a commitment, that's it. You make a commitment, and that love is not a feeling. It's an act of your will.
Absolutely.
So to say that personal faith is perhaps high at that list, and I think the first point of reference is knowing and understanding your priorities and keeping them in balance. Your faith has to be, and would you agree that your faith has to be up there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It guides you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I like to think I look at things pretty simply. I don't get real complicated with things. And the word Bible, you break it down into 5 letters, and the basic instructions before leaving Earth, and it's like, wow, that one hit me years ago, hit me hard. And it's like, well, it's pretty easy. We've got an instruction manual that maps everything out for us in life. If you follow the instructions, it's going to work out. It's going to work out, you know. I mean,
Not that it's always easy.
not that it's always, but that's any formal or walk
Yeah.
of life, you know.
Yeah.
But at least there again, you have that instruction manual to go to, and
Yeah.
people find it intimidating to, you know, they read it like a book, and it is intimidating. But when you, I mean, especially today's technology, the age of technology, I mean, just getting little clips here and there that you can plug into your situation, and man, it's those little nuggets have helped me through everything I've been through, and
Like a
I know
roadmap.
Yeah, exactly.
Dispatch from Route 7 Command.
Man, go ahead.
Need a chaplain at this location?
10-4. Attention 3392. 3392, you're needed at the 8000 block of Route 7, multiple vehicle accident. Please acknowledge.
3392 is en route, 8000 block, Route 7.
10-4.
In the darkest blackness of human carnage and suffering, police, fire, and EMS intercede on behalf of mankind. God himself reaches out to those who suffer through their hands. Their service is a clear and unmistakable demonstration that God does not abandon people in the storms of life.